Okay, so today we're going to talk about the law of victory. This is again based upon John's 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, which we're getting pretty close to the end. But we went through the law of buy-in last time, if you remember. And if you remember, people buy into the leader first, then the vision. That was the whole concept, which means you have to become the kind of person that you want people to follow. So the law of victory says that leaders find ways for their teams to win. So good leaders find ways for their team to win. Okay, that's the law of victory, and imperative that as a leader, that's really part of your job is how do I find ways for my team to win ultimately, especially now we're in a difficult season. So you're constantly saying, how do you find ways to win? John says talent is never enough. No matter how talented you are, it's not enough. So talent is good and you should have talent. It's just not enough. You have to have much more than talent. He says talent with a bad choice will not bring success to you. So you have really talented people be making bad decisions, and the outcome's obviously not good. Good choices without talent will not take you to the top. So you can have good choices, no talent, won't take you to the top. So you have to have really good talent, making good, really choices to get to where you need to go. You have to have both. We talk about having an excellent team, top producers, top people. That's critical. And then we have to make the right decisions at the right time. Yeah. All those factors come into play when you're a leader. You're thinking about who's on the bus, who's in the right seats on the bus, and then are we headed in the right direction, and are we going at the right time? That's a constant thing you have to be asking as a leader all the time. Do I have the right people? If I have the right people, are they in the right seats? Are we going in the right direction? And are we going at the right time? You don't head into a storm, right? You might wait it out till the storm passes. So he walks through these different notions of talent is never enough. And I really enjoyed these, these extra things that you need in order to bolster talent these are variables or factors or necessary ingredients in order to really accelerate talent and take it to the level that you're trying to go. The first one is belief lifts your talent. Okay, belief lifts your talent. So it's important that as a leader, when you pick your team and you pick the right team, your job is to actually believe in that person. I know that sounds kind of silly, but there can be times where you spend more of your mind share not believing in somebody than believing in them. So not only do you need to train yourself to believe in your team, but they need to feel it from you, that they feel like, oh, my leader believes in me, that I can be successful, and expresses that verbally. Yep. So that's the thing that's critical, number one, in the equation of how you lift your team. You got to pick the right people, yep, and then you have to believe in them, and they have to know that you believe in them. And my question to you is why? Why does that matter?
Because in the absence of belief, there's no real motivation.
Correct.
It's like it's a dead hole.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, my coach believes in me, then you're not going to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I played sports, the hardest thing was if a coach stopped giving you feedback, then you kind of knew they just gave up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It just kind of, it ends.
It's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's enough. I've thrown in the towel on you. So it's critical for us to have somebody believe in us, which means they speak into our lives. The second one is passion energizes your talent. Passion energizes your talent. So you have to be passionate about what you're doing, because if you're not, then there's no energy to it. I mean, you've got to be excited about where you're going. You've got to be thrilled about it. You don't have to be doing backflips, but there needs to be an energy behind your leadership in order to produce energy, right? Otherwise, it's just, it's flatlined. Is there somebody living in there? There has to be energy behind your leadership in order to really take somebody to the top.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Correct.
Number 3 is the initiative activates the talent. Okay. So this is really simple, and I like this a lot because it's critical for us in our own team and our own culture, which is no traction without action. Okay. So just that's a little tagline for you. There's no traction without action. You don't move, nothing happens. You don't take action, don't expect anything to go, right? So you have to be able to move, activate, and that's what it is. Initiative activates talent. That's the third one for you to really have success. Otherwise, we talked about this, the A plan you're trying to develop means nothing, but sits on the shelf. The B plan is much better, activated and moving in a direction.
Correct.
Number 4 is focus directs your talent. Focus directs your talent. So what you focus on expands. Very simple. What you focus on expands. Where you give your attention, your affections will follow. So this goes back to managing priorities. What you're giving your mind share to and your energy and your priorities is exactly what's going to grow. If you don't, you won't. If you sprinkle things here and there, you're just not going to get movement. You're not going to see things, prospecting, Larry's going to be a critical thing is, action, 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 focus, focus, focus.
Yeah.
And that's when things will come to fruition. When you give your mind share and your focus to those things, then it'll expand and grow.
Dave, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Does he also talk about like on the focus? Because we've heard it through our life. Like if you just focus on the negativity, for instance, in sales, you're gonna, hit 9 no's before you hit the 1 yes. Does it also talk about like not focusing on the negative aspect, but moving on?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Where if you are, what you're looking for is what you'll find, right? So if I go out and I'm giving my attention and I'm seeking out all of the things that are going wrong. This is a perfect example in the economy we're in right now. It is very easy to say, oh, nothing's going to happen. And, it's all horrible and the economy's a mess and there's no way that we're going to have success. And you can absolutely jump on that bandwagon and give all your attention to it. I hear it every day. And what happens is that's exactly what you're going to find.
Yeah.
But if you conversely say, I'm excited about this time. There's so much opportunity out there right now because everybody's running the other direction, and that I just go, not that you're dumb. It's just that you say, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. I'm going to look for those and see and find the good that what's going to happen in the situation. It's all about perspective. Yeah. It's a perspective to go, and then guess what? You'll find those things. As soon as you give your attention to it. So it's a great point, Larry, that this also applies to your attitude in how you see things as you're growing as a leader, because two people can go on stage, they're doing the same exact thing, speaking publicly, and 2 people can have totally different perspectives on it. They can both acknowledge they're scared, but one person could say, I'm terrified and this could be horrible, I'm going to blow it. The other person say, I'm excited about this. This is going to be an opportunity for me to grow and learn and to get out of my comfort zone, see what happens, right? So yes, 100%. 100%. Great point.
Sorry.
The fifth one is preparation positions talent. So if you want to be successful, you need to prepare to win. You know, people don't just show up on the basketball court and all of a sudden they're excellent. You know, Michael Jordan, even though he was talented, him and Larry Burgess, they just honestly probably out-practiced anybody, right? They just were excellent practicing, taking shots over and over and over again in order for them to win. They didn't just show up and it all came together. It took so many, you know, free throws over and over again, the repetition. You know, Tiger Woods, excellent talent, tons of hours, putting, taking shots all the time. So there's no way around it. Repetition is the mother of mastery. You have to be prepared to be successful. And that's how you're going to elevate the talent that's around you, is teaching them to be prepared. The sixth one is perseverance sustains talent. So perseverance sustains it. So if you're willing to continue to persevere through tough times, then you'll sustain talent. People that just throw in the towel and say, it was just too hard. You know, we just saw that with the client. It's too much. I'm out of here, right? And not to say that there's times you walk away from something, but ultimately perseverance is how we sustain talent through the thick and the thin. And then courage tests talent. It takes courage to be a leader. And that's what tests your talent. When things go south, things are going well, that's your opportunity to be courageous. We talk about this whole concept of making a commitment. It takes courage. You'll gain capabilities, and then ultimately you'll get confidence after the fact. But courage tests it. And that's how you'll know if you grow as a leader, because your courage is going to have to be exercised, which means you're going to be scared of things. Teachability expands talent. So if somebody wants to grow as a leader, they're going to have to be teachable. Someone that thinks they have it all figured out, they lack humility, they don't think there's any room for growth, they can't grow. And so it's not an area that we really focus on, because you have to humble, hungry, smart, we talk about, in order to be successful. Character protects talent. So if you want to preserve your reputation and preserve talent, guess what you got to do? You got to have character, which means you're going to do the right things in spite of what happens to you or around you. You're going to operate in a consistent fashion with character, which is usually tested when things go south. So you're going to see a lot of character testing in a recession, and you'll see most people fail. Relationships influence talent. So if you want to grow in your leadership, you got to grow in your relationships. And there's no way around it. We talk about who hunting. If you want to be an excellent leader, you've got to be excellent at relationships and fostering those. And that's what you have. That's how you have impact, influence, because you're developing intentional relationships to have success. There's two more. Responsibility strengthens talent. So the more, I used to hear this, that pastor said one time, if you want, men are like trucks, they do better with a load in them, right? So when you kind of pile on some stuff and start adding responsibility, that actually strengthens your talent. And that's how you're going to grow. Just like if you go to the gym and you put more weight on there, it gets harder, but that actually strengthens you at the end of the day. And then the final one is teamwork multiplies talent. So teamwork multiplies talent. So we are better together. We talk about that a lot. And we operate as a team. We think as a team, and we'll get further as a team as opposed to a bunch of individuals sitting around. So that's the law of victory that I wanted to go through today. And that's a lot to take in. There's a lot of little nuggets there, but would love to hear from you guys, maybe one or two things that struck you about these things. So.
Yeah, I like the idea of perseverance sustains talent, because if you guys are able to push through even the toughest times, it's like it builds trust and also an ability for confidence from within the team. So then they're like, oh, well, we made it through that. We'll probably make it to the next thing. So
Yeah.
time and time again, you just kind of keep
Yeah.
proving it. So I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And it also goes hand in hand with leveling up. It's persistence.
It is. Yeah, it's a really good, it's compounding too.
Yeah.
Because you get more confidence, like, oh,
Exactly.
I did that last time. I think we could do something more. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like now, like this is a tough time to
Yeah.
get deals done. If we can get through this tough time,
Mhm.
it builds confidence, which then leads to more confidence in the process.
yeah, yeah, really good point. Any other
I think
thoughts? Go ahead.
it's that starting out with the talent is never enough. If you just if you hear that, I'm sure that some people would think, yeah, talent will get me pretty far. But when you really go through that list, it kind of highlights all like the shortcomings of like talent, like the without courage, to test the talent. You don't know if it's actual talent. If you're not teachable, like, yeah, you're pretty much stuck with the talent you've got. If you've got no consistency in your character, your talent's going to fail you anyway, because you're just going to move away from your talent. I think it's it gets talent is never enough. When people think, oh, it'll get me most of the way, it's like, wow, no, it really won't. It's good to have, but won't get you that far.
Yeah, all these things, all these elements, Tom, that's a great point, activates the talent, right? It's like talent sitting in this, glass jar, and all these different things break the glass and activate the talent to move and have impact ultimately. So it's a really good perspective.
On the both the talent and the perseverance part, I was flipping channels last night and I saw this boxer, Tyson Fury, where there's just a highlight where he just got clocked and knocked completely out. I mean, on the canvas, and everyone knows boxing, there's this 10 count. And he said the night before he had a vision of getting back up. And like at 4, he just all of a sudden his eyeballs opened and he was able to get back up. And he actually won the fight, which is just like a miracle in itself.
Well,
wow.
Like all these things are kind of tying in together in a way where I say, like we were saying about talent, not everyone has all the talent, but it's the work ethic type of it.
Yeah.
And the prepper being prepared, and the perseverance of not just accepting defeat, but just and I think one of the things I'm trying to piece together through this is defining success.
Yeah.
It's like taking the opportunities of learning from things that don't go 100% our way, but what can we learn for it so I'm better prepared for the next one, type of.
Yeah, absolutely. Successful failures ultimately. So good word.